Hello and welcome to the Marty and Tavy show. And for the third week, Marty's not here, but last week it was all on me. I was actually the one late, and then she kind of gave up on me. So anyway, she's out of town with her girls. I know if she can chime in, she will. But I didn't know she was out of town this weekend with the girls in their sports. We do have a special guest on here tonight, Matu. We don't see his name. We're not going to be able to see his face tonight, but we are able to hear him. So him and I briefly talked before we started the show. And so the topic of the show is Rabboni, and that's teacher in many different languages, but we added master teacher to it. Again, Marty names the show, so she had something very clever. She was going with this, so hopefully she can join us and she'll be able to put that influence on it. To buy some time, I'm going to play a video and then we're going to talk about it. And I think this will kind of center around a lot of the conversation. So give me just a moment to share this video, and then Matu and I, and hopefully Marty, will jump right back in and be able to talk about this video and what it seeks to teach us. So give me just a moment to share it. One moment here. Find the video. Hopefully it's ready to play. If not, I'll get it centered. Okay, so it's not exactly ready, so give me one moment just to make it bigger. All right, and this is about 4 minutes, so after that we'll come back and talk and jump into discussion.
In today's video, we look at the top 5 ancient African inventions that first originated in Africa. Please remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell, and leave your comments below on what your thoughts are about today's topic and what other ancient African inventions you know that originated from your country. In addition, we have a quick question for you at the end of the video, and we look forward to hearing your responses.
Well, that's what you get with a free
Number
YouTube
5,
video.
Astronomy. The world of astronomy has largely been associated with the West, though with recent studies and discoveries, researchers and archaeologists have come to the conclusion that Africans were the first astronomers. The Dogon people of Mali, who had the most advanced mode of discovery, had accumulated knowledge and information on Saturn's rings, Jupiter's moons, the spiral structure of the Milky Way, and the orbit of Sirius's star system. Number 4. International trade. When you hear of trade and globalization, we see it as a very recent agenda that has been built to unite the world and make us one global village. Perhaps you even associate it with Europe and America due to the harsh realities of the transatlantic slave trade. Regardless of wherever you are in the world, you'll be interested to learn that international trade first started in ancient Africa, with numerous evidence pointing to the first international trade between Africa and Asia that allowed exchange of ideas, goods, and cultural practices that built the foundation of the earliest civilizations of ancient Africa. Number 3. Mathematics. Indeed, before the likes of Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, and et al., mathematics did originate from ancient Africa and is placed firmly in African prehistory. The discovery of the Lebombo bone that dates back to 35,000 BC in the Lebombo Mountains of Swaziland proves that many of the mathematic concepts that we learn at school were also developed in Africa. Other great discoveries were found in ancient Egypt that include scripted tablets or textbooks about maths that included division or multiplication of fractions and geometric formulas to calculate the area and volume of shapes. Number 2. Medicine. Yes, ancient Africans did have medicine and advanced medicine practices, despite what the media or history tells us today, and to this day many of the treatments are still in use in modern medicine. With the earliest known surgery performed in Egypt around 2750 BC, many of the medical procedures were performed in ancient Africa before they were performed in Europe. These procedures included vaccination, autopsy, limb traction and broken bone setting, bullet removal, brain surgery, skin grafting, removal of dental cavities, installation of false teeth, also what is known as cesarean sections, anesthesia, and tissue lacerations. Number 1. The light bulb. The world's greatest invention first originated in ancient Africa. The Dendera light bulb, or also known as the Egyptian light bulb, has and continues to have a lot of controversy regarding its potential as an ancient African technological artifact, with its origins from the best preserved ancient temples in Egypt and its connection to the Egyptian goddess Hathor at Dendera. This artifact has archaeologists puzzled and confused if the ancient Egyptians actually created the first light bulb that was powered by the Baghdad battery, and that could only have been made possible through international trade. Question: with the pandemic still taking place and the COVID-19 virus continuously evolving, if this was ancient Africa, do you think we as Africans would have found a cure and been the main suppliers of the vaccine through ancient African international trade methods or routes? What are your thoughts?
Tavy, you still there? I can't hear you.
I muted myself. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now.
I'm
What's
sorry
going on
about
with the
that.
video?
You didn't see it?
Not at all.
It was there. I was looking at looking at it. So it was there. You probably just, I'm not sure why.
I just kept seeing the little loading symbol. I didn't see nothing.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I seen it. It was there. So I'm not sure why you didn't see it. But I'm just now finishing the video. You actually chimed in, actually right perfectly because the video was just finishing. So I thought you was watching it too. So sorry about that. But basically, the video was talking about 5 things that ancient African civilization invented, and one of the things were one astrology was one, international trade was another, medicine was another one, the third one, the fourth one was mathematics, and then they even threw in that the light bulb was invented by ancient African civilizations. So I thought that was pretty interesting, considering that we don't lead in any of those industries now, considering that we're creators of it. And one of the things that I want to also talk about was that we had plenty of gold. And how did we have plenty of gold? I found this interesting. I did some research before the show, but did you know we actually traded gold for salt at one time?
Yes, I mean the value of gold didn't become valuable until years later. African, we didn't really look at gold as something as magnificent as Europeans would see it because it's not something you can eat. Like used to use uh, cowrie shells as currency, and it was a time also like in Timbuktu, um, the price of books was higher than the price of gold. Like to have a book is like having gold.
Also, they value the knowledge and everything.
They value knowledge. You know, that's one thing that a lot of us don't know. We every house had a library.
Mm.
We love to read. There's even documentation. There's a book called "When We Rule" by Robin Walker. He shows how Africans we were writing checks to one another, even all the way to the 12th century. So if we writing checks to one another, that means that we had a banking system long before the Europeans even had it. Even when you look at the inventions of African people, the hairstyle, the braids that you see, we invented that 1,000 years before there was a France. So when the Frenchmen came in and saw it, they're gonna call it, then they put their name on it and say these are French braids. No, those are African braids. Long before there was a France, we was doing those braids. And they just came and took it like they took everything else.
Wow. And so so just understanding that that was a strong bordering system back then, that money wasn't like, I guess, I don't know, stored up, if you can say. I guess the gold, because I seen where they said a lot of it was like gold dust, and they even had a system, and I love it because the women and the men worked. They said the men dug up the gold and the women cleaned it, so they took the dirt off of it and got it clean, washed it, and separated it from the dirt. So that was a team effort. And then they turned around and they got the gold dust, and put it in feathers, and that's how they would trade it like that.
Right. That's just like when you look at Emperor Hannibal with Carthage. They had coins. There are coins with his face on it.
Mm-hmm.
So we had coins, we had dollars, we had all what we now contemporary things. We had that long before now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we don't get the credit for it. Even look at the inventions that we invented here in the capitals in America. These
Mm-hmm.
inventions, what's important people understand though, those inventions were labor saving inventions. Like the
Right.
broom, the mop, the dustpan, all these things. These things are to save labor. Who is interested in it? Who will be interested in saving labor? The one who's making you labor, or the one who's in labor?
Right. Well, first of all, they said the way it went was like the West African kingdoms. They had a really strong trading relationship with the Eastern Muslim nations. That's how they got the salt, was from them. And so not only did they say they traded goods and things that they traded amongst their other goods, but they also traded the Arabic writing system and Islamic religion is what I looked up. I don't know if you know much about that, but
Yeah, that's even like when they came into Haiti. Haiti
mm-hmm.
had a whole bunch of sugar. They had the sugar cane, so they
mm-hmm.
was getting the sugar cane. When sugar was introduced to Europe, that was sweet gold to them. They loved the sugar because they never had that before.
Mm-hmm.
So we was picking the sugar cane. They never seen anything like, so they would use that for tea and many other things. But the majority of the sugar that went into Europe and to make the economy from there came from the
mm-hmm.
Caribbean islands, especially in Haiti, and they called that sweet gold. And that was long before, and that so sugar meant more than gold.
Right. And that's what I'm saying, because they said like the African civilizations, it was desert, so they always were sweating, so they were sweating bad. They needed that salt back in their in their system. So
it wasn't always a desert. Even when you see, salt takes water from you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you put salt on the slug, it dies. Because it sucks the water out of you.
Okay. Well, I know that also the point that I wanted to, and we can start talking from here, but they also said amongst them trading all those goods, they also traded customs, food, and ideas. So we know that's the great master teachers, because they're coming up with all these inventions and so they're trading so others can be advanced with them. I even read where they had others migrating from Africa, but it didn't take away from Africa because the inventions and the creativity was continually on because of the African people.
And, right. We was able to do something that no European on the planet was able to do. We were able to travel the entire world, mm-hmm. amalgamate our culture with the other culture, create another culture, leave and not destroy that culture when we left. So mm-hmm. Europeans, when they come in, they have to get rid of your culture and replace it with yours. We were able to amalgamate ours with theirs, uh-huh. create a whole nother culture and still leave their culture intact. No other people was able to do that.
That's huge. So then with all that being said, why wouldn't you want to steal us?
Right.
But now why are we such a problem now that we're free in America? This just makes no sense. When I learn more and more,
we were never meant to be free. We're not free now. Frederick Douglass said that I didn't know I was a slave until I didn't know I wasn't free until I realized what I couldn't do.
Okay. So he even
saw the limitations.
I missed that comment with him. Yeah.
I remember Chris Rock made a phenomenal statement. He said that to white people, sky's the limit. Mm-hmm. To black people, the limit is the sky. Don't you go past that cloud.
Mm-hmm. And that's the inferiority status that even Abraham Lincoln.
On us. See, well, even Abraham, we don't know who we are.
Even Abraham Lincoln, when the Emancipation Proclamation was implemented, even he said, "Okay, I'll let them be free, but I don't want them to be equal to the white race." Even
that had nothing to do with ending slavery, because Abraham Lincoln said himself that if the if the South was to come together with the North, you can bring your slaves up north and James.
Mm-hmm.
He had no no will or want to get rid of slavery.
It was politics. It was politics and
Politics.
and the economic war, because as we can see now, I mean, even what's going on currently in the world right now, I mean, it's always been an economic war.
It's all economic. And I'm gonna drop a little jewel real quick. Did you know that slavery didn't end in Mississippi until 2012? They did not abolish slavery in Mississippi until 2012. So if you was born in Mississippi before 2012, you was born legally a slave. How many people know that? Do your research. Look up when did Mississippi
you caught me off guard with
slavery,
that one,
and it will say 2012.
I mean, they didn't have to abolish it because the federal government did it for them. So I can see that law still being on the books like that. And technically it was that, but we all know that federal law overrides state law in that case.
But the thing is, this is the thing. Slavery made the economy of America. Slavery still makes the economy of America. Just like if the 13th Amendment says slavery and involuntary servitude is abolished, except as a punishment for a crime. So we send you to jail, we can treat you like a slave. So it's like one of those backhand compliment type of things. You free, but we're gonna still use this system in another way.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna call it a criminal injustice system.
Mm-hmm.
The criminal, as our brother Malcolm said, the criminal injustice system.
Mm-hmm. So, and that's what I was just saying. So obviously, the transatlantic slave trade really turned some things around, because basically stuff that you were trading, you don't have to trade anymore because you have the inventors of it. Like, that they had the African slaves. So I mean, all the customs, the food, the ideals, and everything else, creativity went along with it, and they owned it. And so that is the need for master teachers, where the slaves were the master teachers for real. Even though, it's hard sometimes for people to look at it and kind of reverse it that way, but there was they were already skilled men and women with value just by having that. You still with me, Mutu?
I'm still here.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and so understanding that they were already skilled men and women, they had a value to be taken. And,
right.
And so, people talk about, okay, so then if that be the case, and if African people are really the master teachers, then our ideas, all these manuscripts and different things that they've been able to take from the slaves and all this intellectual property, how do you get that back? How do you get the rights to it back? How do you, all the African secrets, everything? I guess not everything, because I guess it's still coming.
So what we got to do is we have to tap into our genetic memory bank. It's still there, because when you look at the things the Europeans would do, they would come to Black people, especially like on the slave plantation. They would go to the mammy, you know what I'm saying? They would go to the women to breastfeed their children. They would go to the African shaman, what they call a witch doctor. They didn't want a regular doctor, they wanted a Black one.
Right. Okay. So then, again, the whole point of and I hate Marty didn't pop in. I just really hope she would have popped in, so because she had a really good point, and I don't want to share it. So hopefully she pops in it. But if we get ready to end the show, I'll share it with everyone on her outlook. But I'll give my own. So basically, when you think about all of the different, so the video mentioned astrology, mathematics, medicine, and I'm going to put this up here. So you think about Blacks in astrology right now. Is it a lot of African or Black people in astrology, even though they're the inventors?
Yes, absolutely. There is a tribe that still practices astrology now in West Africa called the Dogon Trial. They're the masters of astrology.
And who's over there studying with them?
We should be over there studying with them.
Well, who is it?
It's not. See, they are the masters of astrology because they took the ancient knowledge from the Nile Valley and just they're right there in Mali, and there's phenomenal information about the Dogons that talk about how they look at the Sirius star and how they would see the things in the galaxy that it took modern technology to finally catch up with them. So just do the research on the Dogon. So they're the master teachers of astrology.
Okay, well, I know, and I guess we can talk about them, but then I'm back. Like, I'm gonna always tie things back to America because that's what I know, and just understanding that if that be the case, why isn't there more people, African Americans, going into astrology? And is it because that? And I guess when I'm driving, and I asked that question earlier, I want to see if you hear me, or if you can even answer it. But I'm when I think about this, I'm thinking like, well, is it, or blacks not in these? Okay, he left. Well, my question was, if we're not in these type of trades that essentially our ancestors created, then why are we not? Is it because the ancient secrets have already been kind of written down, and now there's like this monopoly about it, of who has the information or who continues the research, or I don't know. It just makes no sense that we're not participating more in things that we invented. Same way with mathematics. I did some research on that earlier, and it says less than 1% of mathematicians in America are black. But then it goes on to say 15% of those black mathematicians do mathematic research. So again, it's just another feed of I don't know. Hold on, I got some comments. Let's see. All right. East Boogie said interesting. All right, we lost Matu. What was that? Ended in Mississippi in 2012. Oh, he was speaking of slavery being finally abolished in Mississippi. I guess they never put it on their state books to abolish it, although it was abolished federally, is what he was talking about. So yeah, we were talking about also another thing that we have. I'm trying to find that banner. So the other one was international trades. Blacks in international trades. When you think about blacks in international trades, we're there in the manufacturing market heavy. So one of the things that I found that it relies on, just say if like this pandemic, and the minute trouble starts in the manufacturing industries, guess who's the first to go home? The last ones that came in, and that's a lot of black people, women and men in those industries. So how do you get ahead with that? And I'm just trying to point out some known biases that I don't understand why we haven't done a better job in fixing them. The same way black in medicine. If it be true that all those different tablets had all these different medical instruments that we created to do these miraculous surgeries and all these different things that African civilization was far advanced in, why are we always celebrating the first black in medicine of this, or first in this hospital? Why? I don't know. It just drives me crazy. It's like, it's crystal clear. Why are we still fighting what we shouldn't be fighting any longer? Everything should just be implied. What is this system? And that's just how strong systemic structural racism is that it can take things that you were master teachers of and then exclude you out of it just based off of money. For real, is to participate in going to certain schools, to get hired by certain companies. It's all a game. And then the last one I think that we talk about was, it said the electric bulb. So I mean, we know who's credited for inventing the electric bulb, but African civilization, they had it. There's little charts that show the bulb and electricity running through it and all of that. So they invented it, no doubt about it. But yet and still, we're not participating really heavily in electricity or solar power. All of these things that would generate the economic drivers that's needed to really heal and really restore Black citizens as a whole. I don't know if reparations will ever come, but I'm going to put my reparations now sign up because that's my argument for it. Reparations now. Reparations now. Why not? If you've taken all of our intellectual property and drained it, and now you have it all in books stored up to continue to use, to continue to build up on, to continue to pay more than likely the ancestors of the inventors to continue to do the research for you for pennies of what the profit is going to bring from that. It's a system that I don't want to participate in anymore. Anyway, it doesn't look like Marty is joining us. I did give her like 10, 15 minutes before I even started the show. Matu hasn't came back on. I'm pretty much done with what I wanted to be able to impress upon you guys tonight. Remember, if you're watching it from the YouTube channel, please like, subscribe, comment. I'm not long-winded. This is going to be a short show. I'm going to end this. Again, I thank all that tuned in. Thank you for watching the Marty and Tavy show. You have a great night.